guys and welcome to a new video on my channel. My name is Isa, I'm a digital artist and today I will be sharing with you a tutorial about how to use digital watercolors in a painting. This is the kind... Can you see it? This is the kind of effect that I'm going to be sharing with you today, along with the brushes, the texture paper and also the layers. As you might know, the character is Mirabel from the Encanto movie. The past few months there was a huge trend about drawing characters from the Encanto movie, and all of the artists were doing fan art about this film. Of course, I also fell in love with the movie, the character design, the colors, and of course the songs, because we don't talk about Bruno. No. Anyways, I decided to practice and to learn from Mirabel's expressive faces. So I worked on different expressions, like for example surprise, happy, sad and mad Mirabel. And in order to focus my attention on the expressions and not get lost in the coloring process, I decided to use watercolor. So it's very simple and I think it's also very minimalist, but really cute coloring way. So I'm gonna teach you today how to do this. I started by duplicating the sketch layers and painting in a red color because I wanted the line art to be more like brown, more warm. And the first Mirabel, the surprise one, I already painted her in a separate video. So what I did was to copy paste all the layers and put them in the canvas. So now we are going to paint the other three Mirabels in watercolor. I'm going to be using just one brush for the whole process, and the name of the brush is Flood Grainy from the Watercolor Max Pact. In order to use the same color palette, what I did was to go through the colors from the Surprise Mirabel and in a new layer put all the colors. As you might notice, these watercolor brushes have a low opacity, and this means that every color we put over this layer is going to be seen. So the most important thing is to paint without ever lifting the brush if you don't want the texture to overlap. So I'm starting with the hair, and now what you need to do is to clean everything that is over the edges. This cleaning stage might be a bit boring or annoying, but I really love the texture of these brushes, and you're going to do it just once for each part. So yeah, keep calm and relaxed because you don't need to be perfect. Since it's watercolor, you can be a bit messy and you don't have to clean every edge perfectly, so enjoy. Once the base color of the hair is done, I create a new layer and I'm going to paint over the parts that are going to be like darker, for example, some shadows. I'm repeating the same process, but if you don't want to clean over again, what you can do is to select the hair layer and then with the selection tool you can go over the new layer and paint there. But to be honest, I didn't do that in this step and I just cleaned the edges again. When I want the color to be darker, instead of painting again, in a new layer, what I do is to duplicate the layer and play with the opacity. So in this case, for the shadows, I created 2 layers, and when I was happy with the opacity and the color, I merged those layers. Now I'm moving to the face, and I always like to start with the blush and also some shadows to reinforce the expressions. At this moment I started to play with different brushes because I wanted to paint more over the face in order not to give her just a white face and some colors on the parts that I already mentioned. But finally I didn't like it and I continued with the flat grainy brush. As you can see, my brush is not in the maximum opacity because I want a soft tone, so my opacity is under 70% or so, and also the opacity of my layer. And I repeat the same process with all the Mirabelle faces, and this time I'm not starting with the big shadows, but with some slight colors in like some part of the faces to give her like a vivid tone. For the eyes and the lips, I'm not using the watercolor brush, I'm using the dry ink. And also for the glasses. Okay, so now we have all the colors, and what I'm going to do now is to add some highlights. So I'm going to create a new layer on top of everything, and I'm going to select it in additional mode, and with the dry ink in a white color I'm going to add some reflections, like for example in the hair or in some parts of the cheeks and the lips also, to give her some highlights. The hair wasn't dark enough, so what I did was to paint over one of the hair layers at some points. Well, that was the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something today. And if you want to practice with some expression, you can check my Instagram where I share some reels about every expression. So you're going to find some tips about how to draw a happy, a sad, or a surprise Mirabelle. You can find more step-by-step tutorials or art-exclusive videos on my Patreon. Like for example, in this month tutorial, I'm teaching how to improve your skills with warm-up sketches that are very short, like 15 or 20 minute sketches. So I will be leaving the link in the description in case you want to check it. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!